Dub Nation. After the final buzzer. This is where you come for instant post-game reaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dub's OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Fox on the sticks. Stares down post with a long two. He won the Clutch Award. You better ask about him. De'Aaron Fox makes it a 6-point Kings lead.
Yeah, 6-point Kings lead at that point, and Sacramento goes on to win 123-117 at Golden One Center in Sacramento. ESPN on the call there, and we welcome you into Dubs OT with JD here on KNBR, the sports leader. 808 KNBR, the number, as the Warriors dip back below under the 500 mark at 21-22. Sacramento, they are hot. They have won 10 of 12 under Doug Christie since firing Mike Brown back at the end of December. Warriors had a halftime lead of 17 in this one, which was completely wiped away by the end of the third quarter. Sacramento with a big third quarter. Warriors with a meltdown in the third quarter. 8 turnovers, a lot of missed shots, some bad shots, poor defense, all of that. And the Kings able to come back and tie the game going to the fourth and then outscore the Warriors in the fourth. 38-32, wild back and forth affair in that fourth quarter. But all in all, a lot to get into here, as it has been really two teams going in opposite directions here over the course of the last couple of weeks. And the Warriors now looking to have to try and bounce back on a night where they hit 22 threes despite all of the players that were out, Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. The Warriors just, woefully shorthanded. No Kyle Anderson as well in this one. And they were able to hit 15 threes in the first half to build that 17-point lead. Huge second quarter for the Dubs, 41-28. They got some positive contributions from Quinton Post and Guy Santos. Guy Santos, 16 points. He was putting on a shooting display in the first half in particular. But down the stretch in this one, just not enough offense for the Warriors. They had no buckets from the 4:03 mark until 40.3 remaining in the fourth quarter after they took a 4-point lead. The Kings looked a couple of different times in the fourth like they were going to take control of the game. But anytime the Warriors would build a 7-point lead, the Kings would come back with a run. Looked like the Kings were going to have a shot to maybe put the game away. The Warriors would come back with a run, and it looked like the Warriors had a chance after an Andrew Wiggins 3, 113-109, to withstand it and be able to make enough plays, hit enough shots, get enough stops down the stretch in this one to ultimately prevail, but not meant to be. The Warriors go scoreless from that 4:03 mark again until the game was basically decided with 40.3 to go. They could not get Steph Curry open looks in this one, only 11 field goal attempts. The Kings really jumped out at Steph, and they were trying to get the ball out of his hands. They were blitzing him, doubling him, trying to make him a playmaker. I thought in the first half the Warriors did an excellent job of really using that to their advantage. They were, the drive and kick game was there. The cuts were there. The Sacramento defense has been improved over this month here where they've played at the 10-2 level. But tonight, frankly, looked like a lot of the Kings defense that we've seen, the bad Kings defensive team that we've seen since that 2022-23 year going back. And the Warriors were taking advantage. You basically could get wide open threes against them and easy buckets in the paint. And the Warriors were doing both of those things in the first half. Steph, though, when you make it difficult on him, he's shown a propensity to have the ability to wear down and not be able. The Warriors couldn't get him good looks. And, I think Keon Ellis, if he blocks his shot on one, you look at Keon Ellis blocking the shot on one. You look at Keegan Murray on another one there as well. And I think at times it becomes, tough. It wears you down. And I thought Steph at different times, was kind of taking what the defense was giving him, but also worn down to a point where you're really working. Like, he couldn't beat Keegan Murray off the dribble to get in a position to score. There were times where Ellis came over and he's on him. And, it turned into scramble and somebody else is going to beat you. And there was just ultimately not enough of somebody else in that 3.5 minute stretch there down at the end of the game that allows the Kings to prevail. The Kings are never out of it. Said it on halftime on social media. Warriors up 4 at the end of the first quarter in this one. And they were able to push the lead up to 17 at the half, but the Kings have been coming back at home. They had not lost a game at home in January. They have been winning clutch games in January, basically getting everything they need in every one of these games, whether it's a big stop or a key shot or a 50-50 ball that goes their way, whatever they've needed. You basically, if you haven't been watching the Kings and you're a Warrior fan and you got to see tonight is pretty indicative of exactly how the Kings have won all of these home games over the course of this month of January. 6-0 in clutch games for Sacramento after a 6-13 start to the season. And they beat the Warriors tonight in that clutch, 38-32 in the fourth, 123-117 the final. So 808 KNBR, the number if you want to jump in and join the conversation. 415-808-5627 as I come to you here from Sacramento following the Warriors losing again to dip back below 500. And really the tough part of this is it's a night where you lose in hitting 22 three-pointers, and now you got to play second of a back-to-back at home. And again, the Warriors went in for this one as far as, ESPN and Steph Curry ends up playing in this game. The back-to-backs has not been something Curry's participated in for the last 2 months. So we'll see what happens with Steph as it relates to tomorrow. 34 minutes for Steph Curry in this one. And it ends up where he scores the 14 points and 12 assists. And like I said, the Warriors really trying to move the basketball and take advantage of the way the Kings were playing them. And for a good chunk of the night, they were getting a lot of good looks and down the stretch, though, to no avail. So, all right, some other thoughts on this one coming up. Let's dive into the YouTube chat here as well. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch here on this Wednesday I'm in the cell block tonight, Kyle. A few people recognize this route. I look like I'm in the cell block, tucked away and locked away here as we come to you from Sacramento on this Wednesday night. Frustrating though, because tonight is also, I think, one of those games where if the Warriors do have one more bona fide offensive weapon to help take some of the heat off of Steph, who the Warriors were really trying to dare anybody else to beat him, and it almost burned him, or Wiggins, or Guy Santos, or Moses Moody, all the guys that ended up making shots for a good chunk of this game. You can't always expect that down the stretch. And so down the stretch, you need one more weapon. They got it from Buddy Hield in this game tonight. But again, you make the 22 threes and it's still not enough. So 808 KNBR Alpha in the YouTube chat. JD, if the Dubs are going to rise and fall on the performances of Buddy Hield, they're headed straight for 41 and 41. Yeah, again, I think tonight is demoralizing, although I would imagine Steve Kerr's pretty positive tonight in his post-game press conference at Golden One Center in Sacramento. I would think that he'll praise the effort tonight, especially being shorthanded and especially, given some of the younger players and the way that they performed, in particular, Quinton Post and Guy Santos. And Guy Santos, with more opportunities to play lately, has been somebody who's contributed on the positive side for the Warriors. So I'm going to guess the tone of Steve Kerr tonight is much more a positive one. But none of that matters because you just lose a game to a team that you're battling with in the Western Conference. They have now beaten you twice in January. So they're 2-0 up on you in the season series with 2 games left to play. And there was 1 game separating these 2 teams coming in here tonight. And now it's a 2-game separation in the Western Conference. We'll look at the standings. And immediately once you lose it, the first thought as I start to look at what's ahead for the Warriors tomorrow is, second of a back-to-back, going up against Chicago, that game's going to be no picnic because I'm guessing the Warriors are going to have a lot more tired legs and the like tomorrow, although a chance that Brandon Pajemski and it sounds like Kyle Anderson will have an opportunity to come back and be able to possibly make their return in that one. But Warriors lose. Rebel to Sounds. Warriors lost this game because of 18 turnovers in the third quarter. Yeah, the Warriors with 8 turnovers in the third quarter. They cooled off from 3 as well after hitting 15 3-pointers in the first half. They were 1 for 10 from 3 with 8 turnovers. And the Kings ramped up the pressure, but the Warriors didn't handle the pressure as well as they did in the first quarter, second quarter, and parts of the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter was kind of a 50-50 split in terms of how the Warriors were able to handle it. But all told, the Kings really were going to dare anybody other than Steph Curry to beat you. And for a chunk of the game, as I mentioned, they did. But they had enough turnovers and points off turnovers that wind up being the difference in the game. Warriors held their own in the paint. Warriors doubled up tonight. The Kings on any given night can hit 23s themselves. The Warriors caught the Kings, I think, on a cold night, 11 of 30 from 3, and they end up with a 33-point advantage from 3. Teams really hit Sacramento, or the Kings really hit team in on the interior with Sabonis and spraying out to 3-point shooters. And the Warriors held their own in the paint tonight, 44-42. But it's the 27 points off 19 turnovers, a plus 11 for the Kings. And if that even is just whittled down a little bit, the Warriors would be walking out of Golden One Center tonight with the same record as the Kings and cooling off a team that's been very hot and a team that hadn't lost at home in January and a team that hasn't lost a close game in January as well. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 as the Warriors lose this one to the Kings. Let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll reset everything here from Sacramento, and we'll continue to get your reaction to this one as the Warriors fall. Lose a 17-point lead, can't execute down the stretch, too many turnovers throughout the course of the game, and the Warriors are now a game under 500 with the second of the back-to-back coming up tomorrow. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is KNBR, and this is Dubs OT with John Dickinson, streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
5 on the shot clock for DeRozan. Launches a deep three. Who said he can't shoot threes?
Wow, this guy came to play. I mean, when the game was in the balance that third quarter, DeRozan came in and said, "We're not losing this one. We're going to get it back in this game," and he did it single-handedly.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, big for the Kings as they win at 123-117. We're back here on Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open. Warriors now 21-22. The Kings improved to 23-20, and Sacramento is hot as they have not lost a game at home in January, and they improved to 10-2 overall since making the coaching change, and it's 10 of the last 11 because they lost their first game under Doug Christie to the Lakers, and they've only lost one other game since. It was a road game in Milwaukee. They keep winning close games. They keep winning games at home in very similar fashion to the way that they won tonight against the Warriors. Warriors just not enough offense, too many turnovers. On a night where they hit 22 threes and score 117 points, it's funny we're talking about offense because the Warriors went without a basket for a 3-minute and 23-second stretch with a 4-point lead in the final 4 minutes of the game, and that goes on to be the deciding factor in this one as the Warriors had that lead. It was 113-109, 4:03 to go, and the Warriors end up not scoring again until Steph Curry hit a layup with 40.3 to go. So it was, at that point, 10 straight for Sacramento to go from down 4 to up 6. The turnovers, the reason the game got so close so quickly, and DeMar DeRozan in that third quarter, he has been somebody that has played much better over the course of the last month. It's really been, for the most part, on the Kings side of things, it's been Sabonis as their best player. It's been DeRozan emerging really as the second best player along with Monk, and it's been a lot less dependence on De'Aaron Fox. And the Warriors, although Fox did get to the free throw line 10 times to get his 10 of his 14 points, he was 2 of 11 and 0 of 3 from 3 tonight, and it was not really the De'Aaron Fox that we've seen kind of run wild all over the Kings over these last couple of years. Fox missed the first matchup between the two, and Malik Monk cooked the Kings on that night. He ends up with 20 tonight, Sabonis with 26, but it was DeRozan on a night where Keegan Murray wasn't hitting from deep, and the Kings really didn't get anything from their bench, but all 5 Sacramento starters wind up in double figures, and they end up with 320 plus with Sabonis 26. DeRozan leads the way with 32, and Malik Monk ended up with 20 for the Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, 25 points, but it ended up on 20 shots. He was 5 of 11 from 3. Steph Curry only the 1 3-point make in this one. Curry had 3 turnovers, 12 assists, 14 points, only took 11 shots, and really was taking what the defense was trying to give him there. And the Warriors, again, were using that to their advantage. Great night for Guy Santos, 16 points. Quinton Post ended up with 5 points. He ended up being a -10, but had 6 boards and was hustling and was really trying to make the right play, had a block. In his 14 minutes, the Warriors lost Kevon Looney in this game. He started, ended up being ill, was doing his semi-usual against Sabonis, and Sabonis really was able to get it going a lot more in the second half with Post and with TJD, who I thought played a little bit better in a more limited role in this one tonight than we've seen him play straight up against the Kings and against Sabonis in the past here. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, as it is Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Appreciate everybody on YouTube and Twitch as well. Some more thoughts on this one coming up here momentarily as the Warriors lose this game to the Sacramento Kings, and we come to you from Sacramento here. All right, more from the chat as people filing in here. Appreciate the numbers, good numbers here. We got Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios. Andis Brown here, estimated eyes. Let's ride. Guy Santos played his ass off. Yeah, Guy Santos was tremendous in this one, but the Warriors cannot keep a lead to save their lives. GMG 26, Quinton Post looked good. Next season should be decent if they get better players. I think that is the understatement of the night as far as where the Warriors are at here at this particular point in time. Again, a lot of positive takeaways, but I tend to, there's positive individual takeaways, but I still tend to look at a night like tonight, Kyle, as a night where if they just had one more guy, they win. They're able to withstand the run, or just somebody that can get them a bucket amid the turnovers, because the Kings kept coming, amped up the pressure in the third quarter. And Steph handled it well at times tonight, but there were just enough stretches where the turnovers just led to just easy buckets, quick buckets, momentum changing plays. And the Kings are always relentless when they're playing well like that, but it just felt like the Warriors, even though they were in control a lot of the night, it felt like the Kings just kept coming in waves, and the Warriors were trying to just do the same thing. You get quick early pass for Steph off the double team, swing it around. And I mean, how many times did they just have just a completely unforced wing a pass out of bounds? And again, part of that is the pressure that's put on a team defensively to make them move quickly. It's the repetitive nature of, hey, we're going to make you have to kick it around the horn every time. And you can do it for a quarter, and you can do it for a half, and you can even do it 3 out of 4 quarters. But we're going to have one quarter, if you're the Kings, where we're going to get the advantage and we're going to force a bunch of turnovers, and it's going to allow us to hang in the game on a night where, from the Kings' point of view, they ended up with 123 points, but it really was not their typical efficient looking, good shooting, ball movement, post up with Sabonis kind of a game. But they hung around because the Warriors gave them so many of those extra opportunities. What's going on tonight, Kyle? How you doing, bro?
Yeah, how's it going? Well, my thought was, I thought Dennis Schroeder played by far the worst game as a Warrior. They got him as someone that could handle those non-Steph minutes, and he ended up going 3 for 7, I think, with 5 turnovers and 7 points. When your point and turnover differential is that close, I don't.
No, it's just, he was bad. And again, I think Steve Kerr was trying to maybe take a little pressure off of him. He only played 21 minutes tonight. I think he was trying to play, separating Steph and Schroeder at the beginning of the game, putting more shooting on the floor, or at least the threat of more shooting on the floor with Buddy Hield next to Steph. In the backcourt, starting GP2 at the 4. If you're going to start GP2 at the 4, I think need to have more shooting next to Steph in Buddy Hield, and then you got to try to let Wiggins go to work. They started Looney, who only played the 9 minutes because Looney's done well historically against Sabonis, but it allows for Schroeder to. He'd already been the backup point guard, but it allows him to just get comfortable and know that he's going to be coming into the game, and he's going to kind of run the show a little bit and take some of that pressure off of Steph. And yeah, he just has not been good. In his time with the Warriors. I mean, it is. I mean, count the games on one hand that he has really been a net positive. 3, 4. I mean, it hasn't been, and we're talking, getting close to like 20 games that he's been with the Warriors. Now, I think that's a real good call. He really struggled, and he had some of the careless turnovers, ball, winging a pass out of bounds, ball just dribbling off your foot, just coughing it up, just unforced and brutal. So yeah, tonight's one of those nights though where I just look at the inability and unwillingness to go get one more big leaguer, right? I mean, it comes down to the, almost the baseball analogy, like go get another big leaguer and, somebody that's a veteran that's been through the wars a little bit in the NBA and can get some buckets for you. I mean, I don't think even a guy like Vucevic is a bona fide number 2, but he's somebody that can get some buckets for you and take a little bit of the pressure off of Steph and off of. Now, look, you still need Steph to be Steph. You still need Andrew Wiggins to be aggressive like he was tonight. He ended up 8 for 20, but Wiggins was aggressive in this game tonight, and the Warriors desperately needed that aggression. But you just need one more guy that you trust to have the ball in his hands that can put it in the basket. And yeah, Andis Brown, echoing what Kyle had to say, Schroeder had some really bad possessions into the third quarter, flipped the game. Yeah, the Warriors just absolute meltdown at the end of the third quarter after being up 65-48 at the half. And I said, hey, this is going to be a good test. Warriors shot it well, and they've had issues blowing leads. Kings always come back and make a run. They can do it in a blink. They blew a 24-point lead at Golden One Center going back to last season. The Kings have had a couple of improbable comebacks. This one felt almost at times inevitable, but the Kings have had some improbable comebacks, even more improbable than tonight. Tonight, I think you wouldn't even consider to be improbable. I think tonight you knew that the game was going to get close and the Warriors were going to have to answer repeatedly. And the Kings came out, got the first 4 of that third quarter, then cut it down to 10 real quick. The Warriors did hit some answers. Peyton had a big answering 3 there in the third quarter. Schroeder had a big layup. They were up 12, but the Kings just kept getting what they needed. Second chance opportunity for Sabonis. Warriors turning it over as part of a run and taking a couple of bad shots there as part of a run at the end of the quarter. After the Warriors had the 81-71 lead, it was all tied at 85 at that point. So with 14-4 run there for the Kings toward the end, it ended up 14-4 and 85-85 going to the fourth quarter. And the 8 turnovers, 8 turnovers, cooled down for 3, 37-20. It's a tie game. And the Warriors in the third quarter, I mean, they couldn't do anything. They didn't defend well, giving up 37, but a lot of that was off of the bad offense. Just dribbling the ball, like I said, off your foot, not making shots, 1 of 10 from 3. Offensive rebound, second chance opportunities for Sabonis, which he's excellent at. I thought the Warriors in the first half won the hustle game against the Kings. Kings were a little sleepy. Kings, I thought, came out like, the Warriors are a little shorthanded in this one. We've been hot. We're going to win this game just by kind of showing up. And they didn't hit shots early, which happens. But the Warriors were hot, and all of a sudden it's a 17-point game at halftime. But yeah, third quarter Warriors couldn't shoot it. They were throwing balls out of bounds, couldn't pass it. Some of the second chance points, I thought the Kings played much more forcefully in the third quarter and in the second half overall. And the defense, Warriors, something that we've seen all too much when the Warriors take on the Kings. And it was a big part of the equation in this one as you look at it at the end of the night. And it was the free throw line. The Kings shot 32 free throws. The Warriors could not stop fouling. And that ended up being a way that the Kings were able to offset 30-9 at the free throw line, a 21-point difference, that offsetting some of the Warriors having a 33-point advantage in terms of three-pointers made. So a 33-point advantage for the Warriors there, a 21-point advantage. We talked about the points off turnovers. It was the free throws and the points off turnovers when you look at this game from the math standpoint that allowed for things to flip. And how do you lose a game where you hit 22 threes? Well, the other team hits 30 free throws. And so, that ends up being what happens with the 123 to 117 victory for the Kings. And the Kings are hot. Kings are playing pretty well. Joke's on you. I was actually happy with that game, given who was out. They had no business being competitive at all. Also highlighted that with a second option, they can make noise. But again, they can't wait around. Like it's not second option next year. It's second option right now, and they can make some noise. The concern that I have with every loss, despite how encouraging, like tonight is encouraged. Tonight, I think you can, in some ways, look at it, given who was out, and say it was an encouraging loss. The problem is none of that matters unless you come home tomorrow and you beat Chicago. And we'll see what ultimately ends up happening as to whether or not Steph Curry's going to play in the second of the back-to-back. And so, I think that's going to be something to obviously monitor tonight. He hasn't played in a back-to-back in the last 2 months. And so that means tomorrow, you're probably not hitting 22 threes tomorrow. Tomorrow you might kind of sleepwalk through a game with some tired legs, even with some younger players playing, and maybe no Steph Curry. And so if you don't get that one, now you're 2 under, and the Lakers are coming in, and then so this thing is extremely fragile right now for the Warriors as to whether or not they're even going to put in the effort to try and add somebody to salvage it. So tonight is one of those nights where they show you why it would be worth salvaging in my mind, but they also, with the loss, show you why if they can't hold it together here over the next 2 weeks, they may not choose to salvage it. So it really is two things going in a different direction. And yeah, joke's on you. It is frustrating because tonight's a night where it's like if they do have that guy, even if it's a Vucevic, even if maybe it's a Cam Johnson tonight that's out there playing some minutes, you're able to probably get a win. You're able to probably get a win against a Kings team that really did not have their best game tonight at all. This was, I think, one of the more underwhelming Kings performances of the games that Doug Christie has coached for them. But it doesn't matter. They ended up with the win, and that makes it easier for them now to go and play in Denver tomorrow night on the second of a back-to-back, and that becomes a freebie because they win tonight. That's a freebie for them tomorrow. You go see maybe Denver low-key doesn't show up tomorrow at home, and you can steal another one, and that's how you build momentum on a season. And the Kings, again, with all the offensive firepower that they have been able to build some momentum with a lot of these close losses and playing their schedule more from a position of advantage, whereas the Warriors, it feels like they're playing their schedule right now from a position of just trying to hang on for dear life, and any loss could be this breaking point where they basically give up on the season, and they've already openly discussed the prospect of potentially giving up on the season, which makes you night to night wonder, well, is tonight going to be the night? Is tonight going to be the night they break? Is tonight going to be the night it frays? And again, I think it just doesn't, night to night, it doesn't necessarily translate some of the good from one to the next as a Quinton Post or a guy like Guy. But Guy Santos has played well really for the last couple of weeks here. Diggum 117, Post played a good game, but he shouldn't have closed. Yeah, I think Steve Kerr was really between a rock and a hard place. I don't know that you can close with Trace Jackson-Davis necessarily against Sabonis, although, again, I think that was probably TJD's best game that he's had against Sabonis. First time he didn't start the game going up against Sabonis. I think in a perfect world he would have finished the game with Looney, but Looney got sick, and Looney was making his presence felt on Sabonis in the first half. It was only 9 minutes, had a couple of shifts there in the first half before leaving ill in the second half, and TJD got the start. But I think, having the threat of somebody that could shoot a little bit down the stretch, because it was apparent the Warriors were going to have to try to not turn it over, not keep fouling, and keep hitting threes. It was 22. Could you get to 25? And as it turns out, the Warriors needed at least 24 if they were going to tie this game up with Sacramento winning 123-117. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 408. Warriors choke away another one, says the 408 on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. 831. Dubs late game non-existent offense has haunted them all season. 831 also chiming in, different person from the 831. Is someone going to have the balls and announce how many turnovers Stephen Curry had? Well, we talked about Steph Curry. We talked about the turnovers for Steph. Again, a lot of pressure on Steph tonight. And again, it's not an excuse, but the Kings, to their credit, were going to make anybody else beat them in this game. And, the Steph had to take what the defense was giving him, and there were times where he looked to attack, and honestly, he couldn't get by Keegan Murray, and he couldn't get by Keon Ellis on a couple of those occasions. One of the big moments in the game, I thought, and it was, Curry took a deep three after the Warriors had gone cold. There was a no call on a Wiggins drive with the game tied at 113 after DeRozan had hit a jumper. The Kings got to the free throw line. They lived at the line in the fourth quarter and down the stretch. But Monk put them ahead, and it was 115 to 113, and Curry just came up, and before the defense could even get set, he took like a 33-foot three, and it would have given the Warriors the lead, but it was a quick shot. It rimmed in and out. The Kings went down, got fouled again, went to the free throw line, and then De'Aaron Fox hit the jumper on a light night for Fox that put him up 6 with a minute 7 to go. But that was basically Curry. That was all he could muster in that moment. That was all Steph could muster because of the way that Sacramento had defended him throughout the course of the night. I mean, and he couldn't get all the way to the rim. He couldn't get free to even shoot a step back three with Keegan Murray and Ellis on him, and it was a lot of Keegan Murray tonight as well. And Curry he's rejecting screens. I thought at times the Warriors brought the screener into the play too much, which created the double team. We've seen them have problems with that in the past. It creates an easy double team without the defense really having to pay a price for it. I thought some of the spacing on some of those plays was poor, but I thought that was a key moment as well. The no call on the Wiggins attempt into the Kings getting to the free throw line, into the Steph Curry down 2 deep 3 that wound up going in and out, and then the Kings end up getting back at the free throw line again. All right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Chardal in Fremont is up here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Chardal.
Hey, JD. It's great being on the show. I love all your content. I love everything you do on 95.7 The Game. I'm a diehard Warriors fan.
Whoa. We're on KNBR now, brother.
I'm sorry. So I'm a big fan of your show on KNBR. I love all your content. I love everything you do on here. On the net, at the studio. I appreciate everything you do. You know a lot about the Warriors. You covered the team in depth. So I'm a diehard Warriors fan. I mean, this was a tough loss against the Kings. I mean, we lost 123 to 117. Steph Curry had a double-double. Everything was looking good for the Warriors to start off. But the Kings are a good team. You credit Fox, credit Sabonis, credit everybody on that team. But it's frustrating when you lose to your rival. I mean, it's definitely frustrating, and it's definitely not something you like to see. But you got to bounce back, and you got to win the next one. You got to learn from your loss. You got to learn from what happened, and you got to win the next game.
Thanks, Chardal. Appreciate it. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide this time. I know Kyle was all over it, but the folks on the stream obviously get a show. Come on, Chardal. It's been over a year, my man. Here on KNBR, but no, I appreciate you. And yeah, I covered the Warriors obviously for a long time. And it just puts the pressure on tomorrow. The rivalry game adds juice in the building. I think the Warriors were uplifted by the fact that there was a little bit more juice in the building, although the first quarter was sleepy, 24-20. Kings had a couple of days off before their last game. They hadn't played since Sunday night. And only one time really in the last week that they played, so that they played a little sleepy. I thought in the first half, and the Warriors really took advantage of it. But this team finds themselves again on the brink. You lose tomorrow, it starts to feel a little bit like a legitimate disaster. This team has not been to under 500 at any point. They got to the one under for the first time with that loss in Toronto, but then they were able to get right back on top by beating Minnesota and beating Washington. And so now you got to take care of business tomorrow and then see what you can do against the Lakers and the Jazz and OKC and Phoenix and Orlando. The schedule's not getting really any easier. Although, again, Chicago, that's a game you got to win. That's a game you have to win tomorrow if you're going to have any semblance of trying to salvage this season. Let's see. Digum 117. How can this team be so Jekyll and Hyde is wild. Erwin Kwong. Ugh, I'm so effing pissed. Wow, Erwin with the colorful language tonight. Whoa. Yeah, when the games are right there in front of you and you can't finish them, it's all the more frustrating. If you're a fan, read the Steed, JD wishing he was at Harmonic. Well, we will be back at Harmonic tomorrow in Thrive City. So yeah, Buco Sports. JD has I'm gonna speak some trash. Look, no, this is a frustrating game. I mean, you wasted a 22 3-point outing. Point blank bottom line, you wasted an outing with 22 3-pointers made. Couldn't get a win on a night where you hit 22 3-pointers. And the other team really didn't play well for a half. But that's the state of where the Warriors are right now, especially as shorthanded. A team with a similar record, albeit that's hot right now. The Warriors have been cold for 2 months, can play a quarter and a half really well and beat you. I mean, the third quarter, the Kings were excellent, and half the fourth quarter, the Kings were really good, and that's enough to beat you from down 17 on a night where you hit 22 threes. Like, that's the part, if you're a Warrior fan, that's demoralizing. Estimated eyes, did JD get arrested? No. Yeah, and Rebel to Sounds, it wasn't brutal. It does look like I did. It looks like I'm in the holding cell at Golden One Center for somebody that gets in a fight out in the stands, and they got to hold you while they decide if they're going to book you or not for the night. Whether the county sheriff's going to come down and take you. No. Funny how a lot of building. I mean, this dungeon looks kind of like the Levi Stadium dungeon a little bit, Kyle. A little bit. If you walk around the bowels of Levi Stadium, there's the similar cement block effect.
The Levi studio that you guys did the postgame show in?
Not the studio, but the area around the studio, the area kind of underneath where you go to get the studio. Like if I was going to find a little side room that wasn't the studio, it would look exactly like this. I think at Levi Stadium. 808 KNBR. Let's go ahead and take another timeout. We'll get to Sounds of Dubs OT coming up as well. We'll hear what Steve Kerr had to say about Stephen Curry tomorrow. Again, I'm guessing it's more of a positive spin for Steve than a negative one in the post-game press conference off of tonight. But again, none of that matters unless you can chase tonight with a victory tomorrow at Chase Center and get right back to 500 and try to move forward and have a little bit of momentum and still have a purpose toward trying to salvage the remainder of the season as things sit here with 39 games to go. So we'll do that coming up next. More from the YouTube chat. 808 KNBR if you want to jump in and join the conversation. More from the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line as well right here on the Sports Leader.
live from downtown.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on the Sports Leader, streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Drives it into lane, blocked by Keegan Murray. Monk on the fly. Ellis got post in the air.
Ain't no rivalry. We knocked them out the playoffs. Dynasty's over. The run is over. Kings are here. No rivalry.
Kings fans are funny. Back here on Dubs OT. Did they forget about 2023? And actually, that wasn't even a playoff game last year in 2024. Did prevent them from getting to the playoffs before the Kings were subsequently eliminated. Fans are funny. Kings fans truly are special. Back here on Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. How quickly they forget the 50 that Steph Curry put on them at Golden One Center back in April of 2023 in an actual playoff series to eliminate Sacramento. But yes, the Kings did return the favor, although neither team, a playoff team, a year ago, and both teams now vying for one of those play-in and or playoff spots. The Kings, again, hot. They were 5 under 500, and they are now 3 over 500, a 10-2 stretch. They're basically having the Warriors' beginning of the season here over the course of these last 3 weeks since they made the coaching change. And again, credit to Doug Christie. I got to be honest. I mean, those of you that watch this show, I didn't spend a ton of time on it, but the way everything went down with Mike Brown was embarrassing. And, I did not think that this team would be able to respond in the manner that they have to this point. I thought they were due to play a little bit better. I thought they were definitely due to play better in some of the close games, and they have. But I did not see a run even like this at 10-2 now, here over a 12-game stretch to go from -5 to +3. So they get credit for it. Again, we can get into all the reasons. Sometimes that interim coach bump, fired coach bump can carry a team, and we see it. Sometimes it carries them for a week. Sometimes it carries a team for a month. Sometimes it carries a team for the remainder of that season. And, regardless of the opinion of it and the longer term, the Kings may wind up still not making the playoffs and have some big time decisions to make in the offseason. But they've at least given themselves a chance here, whether you agreed with it or didn't agree with it. And so, I mean, again, they all deserve credit for that. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. More from the YouTube chat here. Short segment, and then we'll come back and we'll have sounds of Dubs OT as we'll roll here, I think, into the 11 o'clock hour as I come to you from the dungeon in Sacramento. Kings win it 123-117 over the Golden State Warriors. Let's see, JD, that was a brutal loss. That from Rebel to Sounds. John J, at least we got some geese sanity tonight with extended minutes from Post. That's all there really is to watch for the rest of the season for me. I think, again, and you're not going to want to miss what Steve Kerr had to say in his post-game press conference as it relates to Quinton Post and just what the threat of having a big that can stretch the floor. Again, it should be maddening to you when you hear it. And it almost will sound like a plea from Steve Kerr, although he did also say, I'll give this away. He did say he is going to play Quinton Post a little bit more here in the short term. Andis Brown, this game was a classic example of a better team eventually winning when there's too much time left. Warriors had to use the full 24, steal some possessions in order to win that game, and also not let the Kings wipe the entire lead away in the third quarter. I mean, that really is what it boils down to. It was the turnovers in the third quarter. If 17 turns into 6 or 7 going to the fourth quarter, and then the Warriors have a couple of the little spells that they had, maybe they're up double digits, instead of up 4 or up 2 when the Kings when it was back and forth there. Warriors go on a 6-7 point run, Kings go on a 6-7 point run, Warriors go on an 8 point run, Kings go on an 8 point run. Maybe if you're up 6, maybe you're up 12 or 14. Again, if you hit one of those in the right moment, or maybe you go up 8 instead of going up 4, and that gives you a chance to where the Kings have to play the game from a position of disadvantage down the stretch, and you're able to get that one more possession. San Jose Jazz fan 4, Kings go up strong and draw the foul. Warriors go up soft and don't draw the foul, miss the layup most of the time anyway. Not that 100%. Without a doubt. Jamu 22, Guy Santos needs help. When will Steph step up? Says Guy Santos there. Guy was good. Guy was really good. And drew down. Third quarter was the game. Free throws and turnovers. Fozzie, haven't heard from Fozzie in a minute. What's going on, Fozzie? This team stinks. Tonight they didn't stink, but overall I think you can make that case. And Andis Schroeder was terrible. And no, you didn't need the as soon as Kyle said it. And again, he was not really a big factor in terms of the important minutes tonight. So you almost forget, but then you go back, and as soon as Kyle mentioned it, it was like, oh yeah, like he was really bad. And unforced turnovers, you talk about wasted possessions. It was ugly stuff. And he just doesn't fit. He just does not fit with this Warriors group. And I really thought that he would be able to fit with this and just provide a little bit of a different dynamic. The Warriors just still don't have a guy to really play pick and roll with them. They try to do it with TJD, and TJD's just not – he's just not a consistent finisher to be running pick and roll. Like you need somebody that can run pick and roll, that can finish at the basket consistently, that has a little skill and a little touch. And I think that would help Schroeder, but he just does not look comfortable in terms of the shots that he's getting, in terms of his handle. I mean, just not the same guy we've seen go up against the Warriors, where he's confident and aggressive, and it just hasn't been there yet. GP2, John Jay points out, had some turnovers, couple of just wing a pass out of bounds. Moses Moody, I thought, was good tonight in the first half of the game, not as effective in the second half. But you look up at Moses Moody's night, 11 points, hit some shots in the first half, 26 minutes. He typically plays well against Sacramento. We've seen him in some big moments play pretty well against the Kings over the years, including that playoff series that the Warriors won, that the Kings fan forgot about in our rejoiner. I don't know. Is Kings Warriors a rivalry? I mean, I guess on the light end. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I bet if you ask 10 Kings fans, like 9 of the 10 would 9 of the 10 would say, "Oh hell yeah, it's a rivalry." The kidding from that guy's side. I bet if you ask 10 Warrior fans, it'd be like one that would say, "Yeah, it's a rivalry." I mean, the Warriors have got up against so many other teams in the Western Conference with so much more on the line. And look, the playoff series was awesome. I thought it was one of the best playoff series of the Warriors run, just in terms of back and forth and fun and watchability. And what Steph did in Game 7 was unbelievable. The Warriors are down 0-2 after losing a couple of games at Gold One Center, and Draymond Green's going off on Sabonis. And remember, De'Aaron Fox there was the whole the injury thing. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is going off, and then like De'Aaron Fox hurts his finger, and there was like a report that he wasn't going to play for like a year. And then it's like, "No, I'm good. I'm playing the next game." Like there was just drama everywhere. You had the Harrison Barnes with a chance to basically bury the Warriors in Game 4, a wide open 3 after Steph Curry had the timeout call that the Warriors didn't have, resulting in a technical foul. Wild series, fun series. I think it's a mini rivalry right now, but it also, I think, was a mostly respectful rivalry between the two, as much as it was highly competitive. But you just go through the Western Conference. I mean, the Warriors have played more meaningful series against Portland. Just look at the last decade. They've played more meaningful series against Portland than they've played against the Kings, like threefold. They've played more meaningful. They've played, and Portland stinks now, and is at the bottom of the. Oklahoma City, that conference finals with KD, the Lakers they've played in the play-in and in a playoff series where the Warriors got beat by LeBron James. They've played the Clippers in playoff series. They've played Dallas. They've played Houston multiple times. They've played San Antonio on a couple of different occasions in varying rounds. They've played the Pelicans even in a couple of playoff series. Hard to think back, but 15 and 18 they played the Pelicans in playoff series. So rivalry, maybe it feels that way right now, but again, I think on the Warriors side, given the things that they've accomplished, not much of a rivalry by comparison to some of the other things, but always fun when these two teams meet. And it is, I go back with this rivalry to being a kid, if you want to call it a rivalry. And they always play great games against each other. And it typically, even if one team's good and the other one isn't, they would play some quality games against each other. They've both had streaks in the last 30 years against each other where one has dominated the other. But lately, and you look at tonight, I think tonight was 18 games. Tonight was the 18th game, if you include the playoffs and the play-in, that these two teams had faced each other since the beginning of the 22-23 season. So since the beginning of the season that they played in the playoffs that the Warriors won, they've played 18 times, and it's 9-9 in the 18 games. So it has been back and forth, and the Kings have had the upper hand now. You look at 2 wins this year, the play-in tournament win, and the Kings won the final 2 meetings last year. So the Kings have actually won 5 in a row to get back to that point where it's evened up as far as the head-to-head over that span. 5 straight now, going back to the comeback win where the Warriors blew the 24-point lead at Golden One Center last year, early in the year, in the in-season tournament game in late November, and the Kings have beaten them close a few times, blown them out a couple of times, but have won all 5 head-to-head matchups in the last 5. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll get to Sounds of Dubs OT. We'll hear from Steve Kerr. We'll hear a little bit from Guy Santos and Quinton Post as well, as the Warriors lose this one 123-117. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, welcome back. Warriors lose in Sacramento, 123-117. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. If you want to still jump in and join the conversation, we'll keep things going here into the 11 o'clock hour. Warriors 21-22. But it is time now for Sounds of Dubs OT here on the Sports Leader. And we'll keep it short and sweet tonight and to the head coach following this Warriors loss as they fall under 500 again here at 21-22. What was the biggest single reason to blame for the loss tonight for the Warriors? Well, Steve Kerr addressed that at Golden One Center.
The whole game was third quarter turnovers that they were trapping in the first half. We handled the traps beautifully, got wide open looks, knocked down shots, and then second half we lost our poise. They picked up their pressure, but other than maybe 2 or 3 plays where they trapped Steph and got a deflection, I thought almost every turnover was unforced. But sometimes when you get sped up, you make poor decisions, and I thought that happened a little bit tonight.
Yeah, they definitely got sped up in the third quarter. It was the repeated pressure that, again, the Warriors did a nice job beating most of the night. But it's like a team that blitzes all the time in the NFL. You're gonna get burned on it, but you also might force turnovers on it. And if you force enough turnovers on it, then that gives you an opportunity to get back in the game, even if you're getting burned on it at other points in the game. But yeah, the 8 third quarter turnovers, the difference in this one, and you look up at the end of the night and it's 27 points off of 19 turnovers for the Warriors in this game that Sacramento was able to get. That allowed them to offset the negative 33 in terms of points at the 3-point line, with the Warriors hitting 22 and the Kings only hitting 11. The free throws also 30 free throws for the Kings, a big part of the equation there. All right, more from the head coach. Warriors, Dennis Schroeder moved to the bench. Buddy Hield in the backcourt next to Stephen Curry. Andrew Wiggins, of course, out there with Gary Payton II in for Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga and Kyle Anderson. No 4s on the roster currently. So GP2 got the start at the 4 with Kevon Looney having the initial assignment on Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis, who had really given TJD a tough time. Here's what Steve Kerr had to say as far as the guard shuffle with Buddy in and Schroeder going to the bench.
Well, Buddy has been great with Steph, and their numbers together are really good. Just felt like we get a little more catch and shoot with Buddy, a little more spacing, and I love Dennis coming off the bench for his ball handling, his defense. Obviously, he's going to play all the non-Steph minutes and then play some with him as well. And so that was the idea behind the lineup change.
Yeah, and again, I do think it helped tonight, but if you're living and dying with Buddy Hield, you're probably looking at being a middling team over an 82-game stretch, and that's exactly where the Warriors are. But I do think mixing it up with Schroeder off the bench, even though he did not play well, is something that can work. You just look at all of the different lineups, and it changes again tonight. 25 different starting lineups for the Warriors. It's the 7th straight game they've had a different starting lineup, and we'll see what happens as far as lineups potentially tomorrow, and whether or not Stephen Curry will be able to go and play in the game tomorrow on the second of the back-to-back, with the Warriors going up against the Chicago Bulls at Chase Center. All right, another one from Steve Kerr. This is a little bit of a longer one, more addressing the turnovers and the lack of poise the Warriors displayed.
Pace with poor decision-making is not pace. It's just recklessness. And so, I mean, you look at the fast break point, it's 28-0 fast break points, so we didn't really play with pace tonight. We were just reckless and careless with the ball. But the first half, you saw with poise, with execution against the trapping, the game gets easy. And when you're knocking down shots like we were in the first half, that's what we're capable of. But a lot of things changed in the second half, and I'm really pleased with our guys' competitive fight. I thought there were a lot of good things tonight, but we've got to be able to maintain that level of poise and execution, especially on the road against a really good team. We got to understand there has to be purpose to the game, and too many just careless passes and careless possessions where it's like, no, that doesn't win in the NBA on the road. That does not win. So we got to understand what wins, and we got to execute.
Yeah, and not getting easy buckets in terms of the fast break. I mean, that was a note that I frankly hadn't even noticed, that it was a complete and utter shutout. Wow. I mean, 28-0, not a single fast break point for the Warriors in the game. And again, I think when you're constantly going up and playing against more of a set defense, even if it's a bad defense, and the Kings, again, better in January, better under Doug Christie, hat tip to him and them for that. But wow, I mean, when you're going up against a set defense over and over and over and over, I don't care how many shots you're making, eventually you're going to bog down at different points in the game. And when you bog down and it's kicking the ball out of bounds or throwing it away or loose ball, live ball turnovers that lead back the other way, that helps a team get out on you and get some easy buckets and get some buckets in transition. And that was how Sacramento was able to hang in the game for most of the night, to out execute the Warriors down the stretch in this one and win it by 6. All right, another big storyline from tonight. It was Quinton Post. Quinton Post, who we talked about his game and how he played and the threat of a big man who can step out on the perimeter and make a three. Definitely wanted to play this one as it relates to Quinton Post, but more than Quinton Post, a rookie second-round pick in the NBA, playing really his first stretch of basketball. I think you need to listen to this as Steve Kerr addresses it as almost a plea to find someone that can have the skill set that Quinton Post has, that's maybe more of a veteran to complement the rest of this Warriors roster. It can be a big deal. Here's Steve.
What you're trying to do in the foreseeable future here is to kind of try to find better offensive lineups.
Yeah, but it changes every night, But yeah, we were planning on playing Quinton Post regardless of Loon's illness. You saw we got him out there in the first half. Playing with a space big is it's a luxury, and it's something that gives us a different look. And Quinton's a really good player. You can see it. He's tough. He knows how to play. It was a great experience for him tonight, and I'm really, really excited about his growth and his development, and it's fun to see what he can do.
It's a luxury to have. Well, the Warriors are going to get a look at somebody who can be a stretch big tomorrow on the opposite end. Hell, Quinton Post may be in the starting lineup tomorrow against that player. Kevon Looney and GP2 both ill tonight. Looney unable to finish the game. There was some question as to whether GP2 would be able to play at all in this game. And will Steph Curry sit on the second of a back-to-back? Might get Kyle Anderson back, might get Podziemski back. Both working out before the game, and including Podziemski was really working out before the game on the floor at Golden One Center. So there may be some reinforcements in terms of those players, but also you may not have Looney, and maybe you wind up not having Gary Payton II, who again only ended up playing 13 minutes in this game, and it was an impactful 13 minutes at that. All right, let's go ahead and take another quick timeout here as we get into the 11 o'clock hour. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM San Francisco, a Cumulus media station. We'll pause here. Final thoughts from the YouTube chat, as well as fun with numbers. All straight ahead. Warriors lose 123-117. It's KNBR, the sports leader.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, final segment. Warriors lose 123-117. Back here from Sacramento. It's John Dickinson with you, Dubs OT. We're back tomorrow at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Warriors and the Bulls, and the Warriors make or break time continues. Chicago tomorrow, Lakers on Saturday, and then a couple of more games next week. Utah and Oklahoma City at Chase Center, along with Phoenix and Orlando, a 6-game homestand before the Warriors are going to go on a 6-game road trip, which is going to lead right into the All-Star break. And then the first game out of the break, right back here in Sacramento against the Kings. Kings embarking, by the way, on a 17 of 23 on the road after beginning with the game that they just played tonight. So their next 23, quarter of their schedule, 17 of the 23 are going to be away from Golden One Center. So a lot of road games will be a test for Sacramento as they've gone 10-2 now in the time that Doug Christie's been the head coach. Before we get fun with numbers and call it a night here, a couple of more here from the YouTube chat. A lot of great stuff tonight. We appreciate all of our regulars here on Dubs OT up late here on this Wednesday night into the triple digits for a good chunk of the night tonight as far as those watching. And again, it is a Warrior community, good, bad, or indifferent here on the Sports Leader. GMG 26, Steph needed to stop thinking he could take on double teams. Earlier passing needed. He does not have the same speed anymore. Yeah, he did try to split a couple. It couldn't get by, couldn't get through, would kind of pull up and make a more difficult pass. Yeah, when it was working effectively, he was seeing it ahead of time, and he was kicking it, and the Warriors were moving it. And again, they were getting easy buckets and wide open threes, and then they were drilling the threes. JMU 22, Schroeder liability most games. Doesn't seem like he wants to be here. I think he does, but it just has not looked like it fit. We had somebody else in the chat talking about the comparison that I made, which is Kelly Oubre. Again, different type of player, but very similar impact. Kelly Oubre, probably unfair to say Kelly Oubre because I think Kelly Oubre also was a little bit of a locker room problem as well in terms of fit. Nope, there hasn't been a hint of any of that as it relates to what was going on with Dennis Schroeder. CA, I need more post minutes. Well, I think you're going to get more Quinton post minutes tomorrow. Let's ride. Monk killed us. Yeah, Monk kills the Warriors always. Really, since he's been with Sacramento, he has had some big games, and I didn't think tonight was necessarily one of his best games. But yeah, 20 points, 9 assists. I mean, really, it's fascinating to look at the Kings when you dig into some of why they've been playing better, and a lot of it really has been diminished De'Aaron Fox. It's been a lot more Monk. It's been a lot more DeRozan, and it's been a lot more of everything running through Sabonis. Or Fox has almost been. Keegan Murray's played better than he had been earlier in the year. I mean, Keon Ellis has been impactful. Yeah, I mean, Fox has almost been the third or the fourth option, really, most of the time during this hot spell. Yet he was the guy that the Kings supposedly had to do everything for in an attempt to try to prevent him from wanting to request a trade somewhere else. And it kind of caused the weird rift at the beginning of their season that ultimately led to Mike Brown being fired. Not the rift, not a rift between Fox and Brown. I want to be clear on that specifically, but poor play, weird expectations, poor play, all of that, which led to Mike Brown being fired. No, I do not, and I know it's been reported as such that Fox was. I don't believe that, and it's been reported that it's not like Fox went in and said, "I want Mike Brown fired." That's not the case, but they all got him fired by virtue of their play, and just a awful beginning of the season for them. But they are back on track right now. Max Lopez, I like how fans just flip-flop on who they should play more, Hield or Moody, when they both stink. The Warriors can't hang late in games. Yeah, 27th clutch game for the Warriors. They're 13-14. Crazy to think. 13-14 in clutch games for the Warriors. 27 is the most in the NBA this season. Sacramento's played 25. And again, the Kings now 12-13. Believe it or not, basically identical records, the Warriors and Kings in close games this season. Warriors 13-14, Sac 12-13, but Sac 6-0. They've won 6 straight close games after a 6-13 start to the season as well. So that'll do it as far as maybe one more. This is depressing, man. How many free throws did the Kings have versus the Warriors? Hield was decent tonight. The worst was the foul calls. Yeah, frustrating whistle, I think, for the Warriors, to be sure. But I don't think it was the best officiated game, but still the Kings were the aggressors in terms of looking to get to the line, and the Warriors often drive in and don't miss aggressively. When you don't miss aggressively, the ball just goes back the other way. Wiggins at times has that affliction. Buddy Hield at times has that affliction. Let's Ride Monk is what the Warriors thought Hield was going to be. LMFAO. I don't think the Warriors thought Hield was going to be Monk. Monk can handle it. Monk's almost and that was one thing I didn't really know about Monk's game before he came to Sacramento. He's been in Sacramento now. This is his 3rd season in Sacramento. They re-signed him in the offseason to a 4-year deal, I think. But the thing that I didn't know about Monk before he got to the Kings, and I really started watching him a lot more often, was he has point guard skills. He can get to the basket. He can run pick and roll. He can handle it a little bit. He's much more of a combo guard that can shoot than he is a guy who is just a straight shooter. GMG 26, Warriors are missing Kuminga. Driving to the basket. Yeah, he is the one guy that will get to the free throw line. He's got to make his free throws, but he's the one guy that does get to the free throw line by being able to put his head down. And he is one of the better Warriors finishers. And Andis, again, with the breakdown on the time and the possessions and all of that stuff. I wholeheartedly agree, Andis. That is well explained. Andis, one more from him. Yeah, I can't believe the 28-0 fast break points. I didn't realize that until Kerr said it. Curry was getting double teamed the whole night. When Fox scores less than 20 and you lose, it's a statement of it. So again, Fox has been less a part of the action. Keegan played very well. Keegan Murray played very well against Steph Curry defensively. And that is something over time as Curry's gotten a little bit older, and we've seen it in real time. I mean, Keegan Murray has gotten a little better and a little better and a little better against Steph and Curry as Curry's gotten older, and Keegan's gotten a little more used to guarding him. And then they throw Keon Ellis on him from time to time. Then they double with Keon Ellis, who's an excellent defender. It's going to be this is a tough matchup. This is a bad matchup. And I thought the Warriors, for the most part, played pretty well against the Kings compared to some of the last couple of games that we had seen head-to-head between these two, where they have ended in Sacramento blowouts. All right, big thanks to everybody in the YouTube chat. Let's get some fun with numbers here to close things out on this Wednesday from Sacramento. And again, back at Harmonic, having a Kolsch tomorrow. Our buddy Alex from Harmonic on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials personal text line. Tough loss, tougher without a Harmonic Kolsch for Dubs OT. You got that right, Alex. But we'll see everybody out at Harmonic in Thrive City tomorrow after the Warriors take on the Bulls. All right, final couple of minutes here as we get into our fun with numbers. Warriors under 500, 2 losses consecutively. Now 3 of the last 4 road games. They're 10-11 away from Chase Center after they got off to a great start away from Chase Center. Kings have won the last 5 meetings against the Warriors overall, if you include the play-in tournament game where the Kings knocked the Warriors out. It's 3 straight at Golden One Center, 2 games, and they lead the season series 2-0. They play again February 21st here at Golden One Center in Sacramento, and then again in March at Chase. Big games head to head when it comes to these two teams as far as the breakdown for they could wind up close to or tied with each other in the play-in tournament standings. Warriors now are the Kings 7-0 at home. Since Doug Christie took over, haven't lost at home. They're about to go on the road. The Kings tied the Nets for the largest deficit overcome to beat the Warriors this season, 18 points, as the Warriors blew the 18-point lead against the Nets going back to the end of November. They blow an 18-point lead, and again, leads have been an issue for the Warriors all year long. Warriors 5-2 in the first game of back-to-back, second game of the back-to-back tomorrow. We talked about the clutch games, 27 now, 13 and 14 of the Warriors. It is the second most in the league. I think I misspoke and said it was the most in the league. Minnesota's played in 29. The Kings are up there now at 25. Big second quarter for the Dubs, erased by a bad third quarter, 41 in the second for the Warriors. The reserve scored 53 points. 13th time this year, Warriors bench has scored more than 50. And again, nice nights from Guy Santos and Quinton Post as they got more opportunities to play as well. 5 points, career high 6 boards for Post, and Guy Santos a career high 16, career high tying 4 3-pointers. But it all adds up to a loss in this one for the Warriors. All right, Kyle, great stuff, my man. Really appreciate you. And who else did we have tonight? We had Raph tonight and Dave.
Correct. Yeah, we had Raph and shout out Overnight Dave hanging out in the back.
Yeah, shout out to Overnight Dave hanging out, and big thanks to Raph Corral. Quick turnaround for us. Back tomorrow, Warriors and the Bulls from Chase Center, and we'll be live at Harmonic Brewing immediately following that one. We'll see if the Warriors can get back to 500. 2 weeks to go until the trade deadline, and a lot more to get into here in terms of some of the other storylines we didn't get into tonight as far as some of the trade rumors and such. All right, that'll do it. We'll talk to you tomorrow from Harmonic. Warriors lose 123-117. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Malik inside, and Malik means king in Arabic, folks. A regal play that might have just ended the night for the Warriors.
John Dickinson.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Big audio quality show.
You are a sicko, and I appreciate you for it because I'm a sicko.
I just know they kicked our ass tonight.
No class, no balls.
Ain't no rivalry. We knocked them out the playoffs. Dynasty's over. The run is over. The Kings are here. No rivalry.